Hey guys, it's Rod with Civil Advantage Firearms Training here. Today we're going to be doing the definitive Norinco CQA556 review. And this is after 4 years of experience with this rifle. And with this rifle in particular over here, almost 10,000 rounds of ammunition put through this thing. How do I know how much? Because I paid for that ammunition. So it's easy to count when you're actually paying for it, because you're kind of keeping track, crying a little bit maybe the whole way. But before we get started with the definitive review, for all the hardcore AR-15 aficionados and the purists out there, what you need to do is take a deep breath and then hold it for a second and then exhale. Thanks for doing that with me. You guys are doing great. Here's the thing. This is not a Daniel Defense rifle, okay? So that's not what the review is about. I know I get some comments every once in a while. It's like, yeah, this is ridiculous. How could you buy Chinese crap and all this stuff? And it's like, well, listen, hang on, buddy. If you can sell me a Daniel Defense, brand new out of the box, for $950, I'll buy one this afternoon. I'll give you my credit card number. Well, I'll probably decline. But anyway, if it went through, I would give you my credit card number this afternoon to buy one. Unfortunately, after taxes, I'll probably be looking at around $1,800 for one of those. So it's almost like a 2.5 for 1 sale. So that's the reason why I'm talking about this rifle. That's the reason why I have a couple of them, is because they are very affordable. Now, one other message before we get started with the actual review for guys in the States. We don't have any other option in Canada for a $700 AR. In the US, you guys have access to firearms like the Smith & Wesson M&P 15. Awesome little rifle. And you're getting that for $699 or less sometimes, right? That's great. If I could buy a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 for $700 in Canada, I would have 2 of those here right now. But in Canada, this is what we have. This is our option. Anyway, having said that, so don't confuse this with a $2,000 AR. It's not. But what is good about it? Well, we'll get into that in a second. So the quick history of this thing is these are Norinco's, North China Industries. They're also sold under the trade name Polytech or Polytechnologies. And you see a couple of different product names like DA556. There's a new one out there made by Dominion Arms. But again, all of it's just Norinco. And they're just brand names. They're all the same rifle. And they're all just as good. So anyway, the history of this thing is the first time that I saw one of these Norincos was about 8 years ago. And it was an A2 stock. It was M16 style, right? The handguard was an M16 style handguard. The barrel was a little bit longer. It was probably a 16 or an 18. I can't even remember. But I remember picking it up and I was like, I don't think, are you sure this is an AR? And even the guy at the store was like, it looks like an AR, So I was excited about that. I thought, for $700 I could actually get one. But I said, is there anything that's not Milspec on this? He goes, yeah, the whole thing's not Milspec. Parts are not going to fit. And he says, he told me he knew for a fact that the stock adapter from the upper receiver would not accommodate an aftermarket collapsible stock. The A2 is what you got today. That's staying on there, period. Also, this guy wasn't sure whether any of the internals, like the bolt carrier group. So I just, and they were also Parkerized. So the finish would come off. If you bump the rifle, big chunk of I think Parkerized, another term for Parkerized is spray painted, but I'm not a gunsmith. You guys know I don't do that stuff. So maybe it's not, but anyway, it appears to me, seems to be. So you'd bump this rifle and then, the finish would come off and you'd see aluminum, right? Which is silver. So it really kind of had a cheap air to it. Then Norinco kind of got serious. They showed up with the M4 version, the M4 configuration, these carbines. And when they first came out, again, they were Parkerized, and people complained about that, and they didn't want them, and rightly so. Then they started anodizing them. And I took a risk and I bought one. And it's been one of the most reliable firearms I ever had. Right up there with Glock. I know it sounds crazy, right? But take it easy. Don't hit the screen. So let's talk about this new version and why you may or may not want to buy it. The rifle itself comes with 2 mags. They're pretty cheap mags when you feel them, but you know what? They're metal. They're pinned, which I like. They're full length. They're real mags. And I never had a feeding problem with those magazines that came with them. So that's great. It comes with 2 mags. Awesome. They come out of the box with a carry handle on them. And under the carry handle, you have a beautiful little rail, just like on any other AR. And, you know, and the reason why I'm saying that is, you know, you might expect, okay, well, with this Chinese gun, they don't understand what people want, and maybe it's all flat under there, something weird. Nope, it's all good. And everything kind of lines up nice. When I changed the handguard to this AIM Sports quad rail, it almost became a flat top. It's so close that it's indistinguishable, the height difference, but I can sort of see a little bit. So I think if you're using flip-up sights, you'd have some correcting to do to make it a total flat top. And of course, you have to change the gas block if you didn't want this forward sight on there. Anyway, having said that, the finish is great. And I want to tell you about the finish. The finish, after all of the running and gunning I've done with this thing, and dropping it, and it crashing against gear, and against my pistol, and banging and crash, there's actually really no scratches on it. I don't know how good you guys can see in the video, but it's like brand new. And I know that stuff looks a little bit shiny on the video, but it's actually kind of a matte finish, so it's almost comparable to a domestically made AR, almost. But anyway, I'm pretty impressed with it. Nonetheless, what else have we got to say about this thing? It's more or less Milspec, and that was a big deal because the AR-15 platform is super popular because there's a million different parts. And so you can buy all this stuff and you can be excited about it, and you can mount it on your gun and try it, and if you don't like it, you know, you can toss it. Especially if you buy inexpensive stuff, you can try different things. And if Norinco was going to make an investment in getting into this market, they had to make sure that things were Milspec, so all those accessories that you buy will actually fit on there. So let's talk about that real quick. Pretty much this whole gun is Milspec as far as sizing is concerned. The one thing that I might have said in other videos is that for the handguard, when you want to change that, because that's probably one of the most commonly changed accessories to an AR-15, is you have the delta ring in the back, and then you have the handguard cap in the front. The handguard cap itself was a little bit smaller than I think it should have been. So I got a Magpul Mo for that's a mouthful, isn't it? A Magpul Mo forend, and it just wouldn't go into the cap, into the handguard cap. It was too big. So I think I'm going to err on the side of Magpul, because they make a lot of good stuff, is that the handguard ring or the handguard cap, pardon me, is too small. So I had to file the heck out of that stuff to get it to fit in there. And even when I fit it in there, it was like just wedged in there. I mean, it made the handguard nice and tight, I guess. That was the upside to it. Nonetheless, so that was one thing. So you may encounter some issues there. With this AIM Sports, I know, super inexpensive stuff, but I can't tell you how great this quad rail is for the money. I did a review on it if you guys have seen that one. But it just went on here like nothing. Perfect fit. So that was great. What else did I change? I had got a good deal on this Magwell grip. You guys know those things, the Mako group Magwell grips or something like that? Now, I didn't put it on. I kind of grew out of it pretty quick. As soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, it looks kind of cool. And then maybe a couple days later, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to, you know, that's not a great place to hold your AR anyway, right? So nonetheless, I tried to put it on, and it didn't fit. It wasn't even close. And I filed it, and the whole thing wasn't even close. So I abandoned it. A little while later, I got this gun, which is kind of a Franken gun. This gun has a Stag lower and a Norinco upper. And I'll tell you, flawless, by the way. And what the deal was with this gun was I thought, okay, well, I got an American-made lower, that Magwell adapter will fit on there. Maybe I'll just try it out, just see how it works, you know, see if it works for me. And other than the, you know, it looking a little bit kind of video game-ish. But I tried to put it on the American lower, didn't fit either. So I can't blame Norinco for that. It wasn't their fault. It wouldn't fit. Okay, what else have we got? I told you about the forend, that's great. I told you about the Magwell adapter. Let's go on to the next thing. The single point sling adapter. That was the other thing I had a problem with, trying to remember that. So the single point, I put a single point sling adapter on here, and the top of it was hitting the charging handle when it would come out. And what I did was I took a file, which is one of my gunsmithing tools. I got a couple tools. One is a hammer, one is a file, and then maybe a Dremel. So if you ever want me to do any work on your guns, You got to be crazy, but that's all I'm going to use. I don't even use screwdrivers. Anyhow, I just filed that down and I fixed that. I mean, you guys can see it's this is how I roll, right? It's still silver from where I filed it. So here I'm laughing at myself. Anyhow, that was the last thing that didn't fit that perfect, but I made it work. Let's talk about reliability. As I mentioned, I'm almost up to 10,000 rounds on this rifle. And the thing has worked flawlessly. And this is, from me to you, this is the truth. Are you ready? This thing ran without a single malfunction for 7,500 rounds. 7,500 rounds, roughly, give or take a few hundred. But that's where I was at. Not a single malfunction. Now, to make that even more impactful, you should see the crap ammo that I buy. Just the worst possible stuff that I can get my hands on. If I can save $15 on 1,000, I'll buy that stuff. I don't care if it's steel. I don't care where it comes from, you know. It's just got to go boom and cycle the action and I'm happy. So now, that may or may not be anything to be proud of. But all I'm saying is this rifle ate it all. So very impressive about that. For the first 3 years, basically, 3.5 years, I didn't have a single malfunction. And again, bad ammo, but even further to that, for the first couple of years, I never even cleaned this gun. And I think I said that on a previous video, like I was notoriously bad for cleaning guns. I mean, this thing, if you opened up this gun a couple of years ago, okay, and you looked inside, it'd be the same as if you took a flashlight right now, went over to your kitchen, got down on your face on the floor and looked under your fridge. That's probably what it looks like in there. It was just disgusting, and the thing still ran. Still running today. So anyway, I can't say enough about the reliability of this rifle. Now, having said that, if you guys have bought one of these rifles and you had problems, feel free to say whatever you want in the comments. I want to know, because I might have just gotten a hold of 2 good rifles. Maybe they were made on a Monday, or I don't know. I guess it's always Monday there, right? But you know, I don't know. Maybe I got lucky, right? So if you guys have had problems with these rifles, let me know. But I just can't believe the reliability. Then about 6-7 months ago, I had a major malfunction. Speaking of bad ammo, I was running that Norinco brass cased, but the Norinco CQA556 stuff, the surplus stuff. And I don't think it was actually surplus. It was made by Norinco for a buyer, and they backed out. I heard some rumor or whatever, but it was really inexpensive, true 5.56. So I bought several, probably 5,000 rounds of that stuff. And I was just going through it like crazy, just lighting the place up. And all of a sudden, I got a bad batch of it, and the primer started blowing off. Well, the primer blew off inside the gun. I mentioned this in the previous video, so sorry about the repetition. But the primer blew off this cartridge, and it ended up right up on top of the bolt key. Some people call it a gas key. I'll call it a gas key sometimes. But the bolt key up on right on the top of the bolt carrier. And the action slammed forward, and it got locked. It wasn't all the way closed, but it was jammed. And, you know, thank goodness for Glock. I took the slide off my Glock and I used it as a hammer to bang down the charging handle. Glock, man. And got the action open, and it started malfunctioning. Even after I cleaned it and got that primer out of there and all the rest of that stuff, it started malfunctioning. And I thought, oh, you know, that's what I get for buying a cheap rifle. And, you know, hey, it was good while it lasted, right? Well, I cleaned it one more time after that. And I don't know why this happened the second time I cleaned it, but whatever. A whole bunch of brass fell out of there, like shards of brass. And I even kept them to show a friend of mine. And after that cleaning, it started running great again for probably another 1,000 rounds. I'm thinking 1,000, 1,500 rounds maybe. The only other thing I'd say about these rifles is recently I had a malfunction, and I mean recently, like 4 days ago, I started having malfunctions, and there was no strike on the primer. But what I had tried to do is I did a little experiment. If you guys have done any research on maintenance of ARs, you don't want to put too much oil in them. But I wanted to try it because I'd seen some law enforcement guys doing that. And they're like, just filling this thing full up with oil, right? And I thought, oh, maybe I'm missing something. They're the guys who are supposed to know, right? Well, I lubed the crap out of this thing, and it started malfunctioning. Then what I did is I took the bolt carrier out and I wiped it down. I wiped everything inside the rifle. This is really actually quite interesting. I wiped all the lube out, I put it back together, and it ran the rest of the day perfectly. Don't over oil your AR. There's lots of videos out on YouTube about that. So that was kind of interesting. Now I clean it every time I shoot it. I've been doing that for about 2 years, about a year and a half. I'm overstating. About a year and a half I learned my lesson about cleaning guns. So I have 2 of them, and this is how they're sold. I believe you have a 14.5-inch barrel and you have a 10.5-inch barrel, 10.5. Both of them work equally as well. For me, 14.5-inch barrel is the sweet spot. That's where I like to be. 16 is great, but remember, guys, I mean, I'm just a hobbyist, right? I'm just a regular guy that wants to go run and gun. I'm not being deployed anywhere, so I don't care about 16-inch barrel or longer because I'm worried about velocity or accuracy at 400 yards. I can't even shoot I can't shoot 200 yards, to be honest with you. I can't see the target, and I'm just no good at it. So that's not a concern for me. So I guess that's one vulnerability about the definitive review, is that I have not shot beyond 200 yards with this rifle. I've shot about 145, I'd say, but hitting everything bang on at 145 standing with no optics, by the way. So, well, I've got a red dot optic, but it's not magnified. So anyway, I think that's about it. You know what? I'm going to say one more thing right before I wrap it up. I know it was a long one, guys, but and thanks for hanging with me on this. I've had those other reviews up for a while, and guys will leave comments, as I meant the purists or the real AR fanatics, and they'll leave comments. They'll say, well, that gun, I don't care what you say about it, it's Chinese crap. And I just want to kind of leave one comment with you. You're half right, it's Chinese. But certainly these rifles are not crap. If you have the opportunity to buy one of these rifles, I would recommend that you do. For $700, they are a steal. And in my opinion, you won't be sorry. I'm not sorry that I bought either of these rifles, not for a heartbeat. So anyway, 10 out of 10 for me for the price. So hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have experience with the Norinco CQA556 or any of its other brothers and sisters as far as brand names are concerned, same Norinco product though, no matter what you get, please put them in the comments below. Really appreciate you guys watching the videos. Lots of traffic on the channel, it's awesome. And I learn a ton of stuff from you guys too, so let's keep it going. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can, at CivilAdvantage1, or you can find us on the web at www.civiladvantage.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.